Welcome back to Beef.
Yeah, great to be back here. It's about my third or fourth. I think third as a politician and fourth when I was in the bank. So great to be back.
How good, a nice free time to rub shoulders with some constituents.
It is. It's amazing. I've only got here yesterday afternoon, but you can't walk 10 metres with running into somebody from around Maranoa, which is 43% of Queensland, but a lot of people from around the country here. It's a great showcase. And to Bryce and the team, this is a world-class event that we should be very proud of and that they've put on here in Rocky in regional Australia. Shows that we can do it better than any of those city slickers.
Well, let's dive into some of those key issues at the moment. Firstly, Senate due to drop its supermarket, the probe into price-setting practices of supermarkets. What would you like to see come out of that today?
Well, look, we'll look at what the report comes back, but it actually tells us what we've already known. And even when we were in government, I had an ACCC perishable goods inquiry, and it showed that there was a market imbalance, and the supermarkets control too much of that. Here in Australia, the big three supermarkets control 74% of the grocery market. In the UK and the US, their big three control about 30 to 40%. So that market power, dominance and concentration means that they can use, particularly against farmers that are dealing in a perishable commodity, they can deal with them in unconscionable ways. But we've also seen how they've dealt with consumers. We think that there should be safeguards. We should put in place divestiture powers of some scale.
How does that work though?
Yeah, and so this is what you've got to make sure you get the architecture right. And look, in principle, the Nationals have always had a policy on divestiture, but you've got to make sure that there's no unintended consequences in terms of there isn't other competition to take up some of that market, and you create. What
happens if suddenly you break them up and then you can't find a buyer, as reports have suggested?
Everyone's saying that we're going to break them up. No, that's not. This is a deterrent. It's a big stick. It's only used if they do the wrong thing. This isn't just walking in and say we're going to break up Coles or Woolworths. This is saying that if they do the wrong thing in their dealings with suppliers, i.e. farmers, or there's been price gouging, there is punitive penalties, financial penalties. At the moment, the most is about $140,000. We're saying it should be in the millions of dollars. And then scale up to what we have in the energy sector. We already have divestiture powers in this country. And what that might mean is, particularly where they have land banking, where we can force them to sell property so that it's conducive for independents or other competitors to come in. But you have to have a test that makes sure that if you impose that power, that there is competition to take it up, and that shouldn't be politicians that make that decision. It should be an independent arbiter, and it also needs to respect the existing codes of conduct in dairy and hort, as well as making sure that we do have an independent arbiter that's cheap and affordable for producers to be able to come forward. Now, this is just a deterrent, and we're not going to use it just to come in and arbitrarily split them up. That's not what we're talking about. This is just making sure, like anything, when legislators put policy in place and put laws in place, there is a deterrent, whether that be in the criminal sense, you go to jail. In the corporate sense, if you do the wrong thing and use your market power in an unconscionable way, there has to be a significant consequence, because if there's not, there's no deterrent, and there is no deterrent at the moment.
Well, let's just move on. There's a bit of a blue between your mob and the state mob at the moment over emissions reduction targets. You called them unachievable and reckless when the Queensland opposition backed them in. How are you going with them at Beef here today?
Oh, look, this is a great thing about democracy. And, you know, if you're in the Labor Party, I would have been expelled. But the National Party is our own sovereign party federally. Now, the state guys can do what they like. But,
why aren't you on the same page?
Well, you've got to tell the people how they're going to get there and what are the consequences.
So you say that the state party hasn't done that?
Well, I don't know how they're going to get to 75% reduction in emissions by 2035, and particularly when you think about the only way to achieve that is more renewable energy. And I and Peter Dutton visited a farm just west of here yesterday where their land is being ripped up for wind farms and transmission lines.
So we can't trust them to get here?
To get to the 75%, well, you've got to be honest about how you're going to do that. And what Peter Dutton and I will be is very honest with the Australian people. We will look you in the eye and tell you how we're going to get
Should we also be wary of their other policies then, if this one you don't think?
Well, I think everybody has a responsibility as a politician to be upfront and honest. If you've got a plan, come forward, articulate it and be honest. And Peter Dutton and I are going to come forward. We're going to look you square in the eye. You mightn't like all of it, but we're going to be honest with you. And I think that's what politics is missing, the leadership of politicians simply just saying as it is. And that's all you'll get out of Peter Dutton. We're not fancy, you only have to look at the pair of us. But Peter Dutton and I will be upfront and honest with everybody about how we're going to change this country and fix the mess that this mob's putting us in.
Beautiful. Can't wait for this next answer then. So Glencore, massive blue between, obviously, AgForce particularly leading the charge with the federal government over the pitch to put carbon into the Great Artesian Basin. Obviously, your government signed off on it. Was that the right move?
No.
So why did you do it?
Well, it was a desktop review done by the Environment Minister at the time, Susan Lee, and she didn't get it right. It wasn't on her radar to the extent that it should have been, and this was technology that was new. But what Cole Boyce and I, the member for Callide, tried to do in December last year is fix that by putting an amendment to the EPBC Act that wouldn't stop it, but would put another layer of approval, which is effectively what Susan Lee should have done. And you've got to admit when you get it wrong. Don't shirk away from it, but when you've got a way to fix it. Unfortunately, Tanya Plibersek and the Labor Party and the Greens voted against this amendment that would simply add carbon sequestration.
So if you were in government right now, you would make these changes so that this wouldn't be going through?
Well, we put the bill in, so that is now coalition policy. The Nationals have put that. Cole Boyce is the other national member for Flynn. He and I moved those amendments, so that is our policy, and we will move that as soon as the next federal election's over. It's a simple amendment. I'm trying to convince Tanya Plibersek when she opens up the EPBC Act potentially this year that she should add that in to give that another layer of protection. I'm not against carbon capture storage. We should do it. It's about making sure we can have coal and gas in this country, but it's got to be in the right place. And you should use the precautionary principle, particularly for something as sacred and as important as the GAB.
Now, David Littleproud, it is time for our pop quiz, playing for cattle stations.
Oh, wow.
We have our scoreboard here. The aim of the game, I'll flip it up the right way, is to get 5 out of 5 and you get well done. Chris Afuli did poorly with a medium rare. Ferner sung live on air and got a few extra points to get to medium well.
Yeah, well, I'm going to be singing, and I'm a medium rare guy anyway, so what's the...
Well, don't question the quiz, just get the answers right. David Littleproud, number 1. What percentage of cattle in Australia are grass-fed? 82%, 53 or 96%?
Oh, I say 82.
Oh, wrong, 96%.
Oh.
That should have been a yes. Japan is famously the home of which cattle breed?
Wagyu.
Correct. The Oz Meat Marbling System provides an indication of the amount of marbling in beef. The scale goes from 0 to what?
10.
9.
9, yeah.
I guess 10 too.
Yeah. Oh, well, give me half a point then.
In Cockney slang, having a butcher's means what?
Dinner.
Having a look, a butcher's hook. Look.
Oh, there you go.
Which of the following isn't a cattle breed? Droughtmaster, Irish Moiled, Lincoln Red or Winnie Blue?
Oh, Lincoln Red.
Winnie Blues. They're a bunch of ciggies.
Cigarettes.
David Littleproud, last question. Will you commit more funding to Beef 2027 if you win the next election?
We'll work through that and obviously look at what...
I'll give you 5 points. 6 million, 8 million. How much are you going to put to it?
I can't be bought.
No worries. David Littleproud, thanks for your time on Beef TV.
Thanks for having me.
Well, we are off to a break. On the other side, we're live with the Prime Minister.